just say this much, and I hope that I'm not offending anybody. This is based off of my own personal experience of domestic violence in my life. Okay.
I ain't said I was perfect, woman, but you mine. You are mine. So I have a problem with this. She was like, take me now. I was like, girl, you better get them pipes clean, honey. I am not mad at you.
Hey everybody, it's Candy Girl, and I'm coming to you today with a recap and review of Greenleaf episode 6. So let's get into it. We open up with the Sisters of Tamar. It's a new support group that Gigi has formulated to be of a support to victims of abuse, whether it be sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, whatever. We are introduced to a young lady who is opening up about her past child abuse and child molestation. And we soon thereafter learn that she is now in a physically abusive relationship. And you could see the signs, dead on when the first moment that you hear her husband talking to her. And let me just say this much, and I hope that I'm not offending anybody. This is based off of my own personal experience of domestic violence in my life. Okay. So this is just based off of what I have seen and what I have personally experienced. That usually there is tons of generations of physical, mental, emotional, whatever abuse that precedes that person. And so, it's hard to pass judgment upon a person who did not have the tools and did not necessarily have the upbringing to recognize and to leave an abusive relationship. In my situation, I was in an abusive relationship, and I'm young now. So this was like years and years and years ago. But the guy hit me several times in front of other people in public. It was not a private thing whatsoever. And he also was very emotionally abusive. I too was a witness to abuse. And so at the time that I was witnessing it, I was like, how in the world could you allow somebody to do that to you? And then when it happened to me and I didn't straight up leave on the first offense, I realized that you want to believe the best in that person because in the moments leading up to that, they are the perfect gentleman. And that they just shower you with all this love and affection, and then they mess up and you say, okay, well, that was a mistake. I want that love and affection back that they gave me before. And they give that to you. And it just ends up being this endless cycle. And then what really, really got me is that in one relationship that I had years later, I actually hit my boyfriend. I hit him once in the face, and then another time I hit his back. And he straight up looked at me and he was like, you will never do that to me again. And I was like shook because I was like, first of all, how in the world could I ever do something like that? And then furthermore, I knew that he wasn't playing. And the second time that I did it, it wasn't in the heat of an argument or anything like that. We were kidding around, but I think that it was too much force behind the hit. So he was like, we done been through this before. Don't even try it. And that was the end of that. So I can't really pass judgment on either side because I see how it could happen on both ends. So I just want to, put that out there that, this is usually not something that's like, look at this insecure heifer, or look at this monster of a person. Usually it is coming from a long chain of abuse And it is something that is ingrained in you to the point where it becomes second nature. And it's not necessarily something that you're cognizant of until the moment presents itself. Anyway, moving on from that tense situation. So, Bishop is going to Birmingham. He wants Grace to preach. Now, I have just a couple of things on that. Personally, I have been, as a preacher's kid, I have been pushed into many, many ministries as a child. And it is true that, train the child as they should go, they will not depart from it. But at the same time, once you become an adult, you are fully mature and capable of making your own decisions in life, making your own judgments on what you want to do and what ministries that you want to serve. And as a parent, what they need to realize is that the child is not serving you. They are serving God. So you might have a certain agenda for what you want them to do. But if that is not what God has put on their heart, then it is your responsibility to step back. As a parent, don't hinder them from doing what God told them to do. God gave us all free will, so who are you to come in and try to override that with your own personal agenda? And I think that's what the bishop was doing there, and I didn't appreciate it. The bishop would rather have Grace do it, who really told him that this is not what I want, versus someone who was human and who made a mistake. The wife reminds him, like, it's not like you haven't been human before. How are you going, like, you should be forgiving him as much as you've been able to forgive yourself. So that tipped me off, like, okay, he has been unfaithful in the past, and that he needs to take a look in the mirror before he starts passing judgment on folk. And then she says, are you trying to start a war or something? And he was like, no, I'm trying to end one. She would rather stifle some of the stuff instead of deal with it head on, and it's costing people's lives in this situation, and it's completely and utterly selfish of her. Now, we got a new choir director, y'all. He is gay. And he is like coming straight out and telling you, look, before I start, I want you to know I'm gay. My partner is going to come to church. It's not going to be a secret. And Charity's like, okay, that's fine. Now she tells her husband, and he is like totally against it. And it caused me to kind of question, like, why are you so adamant of him not being, the choir director? And I think that a lot of it has to do with he's not comfortable with himself. And so to have somebody in his face that's comfortable with who he is, it's going to kind of cause him to be uncomfortable. But then when Charity introduces the new choir director to her husband, it just kind of seemed like the choir director recognized him, probably from that app that he's using now. And so he was like, oh, that's your husband? Okay. And so he kind of like slick flirting with him and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is about to get so messy, and I am here for it. Okay. Now let's get to Carissa and Jacob. That's where the real get down is getting down. Okay. Carissa and Jacob are hosting a little, dinner meeting with this guy that might be able to give Jacob a TV deal. And so the couple comes to the house, and you can tell that they were really calculating on this. They were kind of recruiting, not for a TV deal, but for, another kind of deal. And so the wife is flirting with Jacob. The husband is flirting with Carissa. Carissa ain't been touched for a long time, so she over there trembling like, yes, honey, I am here for this. And, at some point during the dinner, they had kind of like on the sly invited them to, come to the hot tub in the ranch in the woods where nobody can hear you and there's lots of space. And they was like, okay, well, isn't that interesting? Well, think about it. Well, they thought about it, and Carissa was like, we going out there because we need this TV deal, so let's go ahead and make it do what it do. Jacob is like, I'm not having no other man touch you. Point blank, period. She was like, well, what does it matter? You've been touching and filling up on some other chick.
And now you mad because of somebody touching me. And he was like, look, I ain't said I was perfect, woman, but you mine. You are mine. So I have a problem with this. She was like, take me now. I was like, girl, you better get them pipes clean, honey. I am not mad at you. I am not mad at you. So I was like, okay, that's what's up, Carissa. You better go and get your man. But did y'all notice where she was like, y'all, you're making me pay for years over one little mistake that I made. I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, Carissa done had her little affair too. She was over there dropping it like it's hot, just like the rest of them, boo. So anyway, we're gonna move right on along to Grace getting ready to preach. Now, she's not sure what she wants to preach about. Her niece, that riddling, snorting, cheating, little conniving little girl says, well, why don't you just go and download a sermon offline? People do it all the time. She goes and downloads it. She gets up there and she starts, doing her little sermon, and she was just like, bump that. She get up there and she said, look, I ain't feeling that no more. The Holy Ghost is telling me to talk about something else. Child, the First Lady's heart sunk. You could just tell all the blood just rushed from her face. That was amazing acting. How do you make your blood just rush from your face like that? That was amazing. So, y'all tell me what y'all thought about the episode. Of course, I skipped over a whole bunch of insignificant stuff. If I missed something, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Until next time, y'all, love and blessings.